can we upgrade or change our college after first year of med school? You do you. And know that you will be okay and you will do fine no matter what. Your eyes won't be able to see what your brain doesn't know. That's the day I realized that the unconditional love from your loved ones is the best medicine for every problem. I'm a repeater of NEET exams, so I have learned to neglect the unjust criticism which I have faced during my tough times. An empty mind which leads to overthinking is a devil's delight indeed. How do you revise your whole syllabus in a short period of time during exam days? No, MBBS is for 5.5 long years, but for you, were they eternally long or did they pass in a blur? Is it really necessary to study hard and get distinction, or should we just get past? When to know that we are being fatigued by studying and how to take a good break in life? I completely agree, willpower is something which can actually make miracles happen. Namaste everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope all of you are doing great. So I asked 100 first year medical students to share their experiences about their life and to tell me what they had learned. Also to ask me any questions if they had, and I got like a huge response. We have tried and divided this into a video series. If you haven't watched the other videos in the series, make sure that you watch them to really help you to learn something out of it. So today's video, let's jump right into it. The first experience is never to see the past and never to see the future. Don't think, just do your work and as it is in the present. Well, I think this is the best way to avoid any worry. Just focus on the present and do what you can at the present moment. So first learn and then remove the L. Okay, did you get this? Hang out with friends which force you to level up and stay away from toxic friends. Don't share your secrets to one who tells you about others' secrets. I think these are some good life lessons that you have learned. The question is, what are the benefits of attending SIPs? Now, what are SIPs? SIPs are summer internship programs. Now, MUHS has come up with these programs. These are like 4 to 8 weeks summer programs for students of the first year, second year and third year, and you can apply for them. Topics range from, biostats, medical research, medical biotechnology, environmental health, and so much more. I think it's a great way to gain exposure and learn and understand new stuff. Also, these students who are selected, they get a stipend or a scholarship of rupees 2,500 per week. This is a wonderful and excellent opportunity. So if you get this, please apply for it and you will only gain from the experience. The second question is, can we upgrade or change our college after first year of med school? Yes, though you'll have to follow some rules and regulations, but yes, it is a fact that you can upgrade your college after first year of med school. Now, this is a very short and sweet experience, what makes a lot of sense. The experience is, you do you. And know that you will be okay and you will do fine no matter what. Well, I think that's true. You just do you. Question is, how do you know the reality of someone's situation when you've never been in their shoes? Well, I guess honestly, you'll never really know completely. But you can be empathetic towards them by imagining yourself in that situation and putting yourself in their shoes. And sometimes you can just simply ask them about how they feel and just patiently listen. This is another experience. Once I come to invite someone for an award ceremony in the college and the professor said a straight no and did not relieve that person. I made up my image that they must be really rude by nature. The very next day when I had my class with them, they were the most confident and sweet person I had met. The new image was completely opposite to the one I had made up initially. So I learned from that don't make up an assumption till you have had a proper interaction with anyone. A person may seem absolutely nice at first but may turn out to be completely opposite and vice versa. I completely agree to that. No doubt first impressions are really important, but I think we should avoid judging a book by its cover too. Question is, how do you mold your brain to think and apply more than to mug up and vomit in the exams? Our education system promotes learning over understanding. Well, I can go on ranting about the education system for an hour, but having said that, I think we are slowly and steadily moving towards the right direction. And when it comes to medicine per se, you really have to learn a lot and memorize a lot of stuff. Because the fact is, your eyes won't be able to see what your brain doesn't know. So the sign may be very evident in a patient, but if you haven't read about it, your eyes will never be able to see it because your brain will never tell you. So I think first year is all about building your concepts, and when you go to your clinics, then you observe the patients and you see and try to imbibe all the things that you've learned into practical life. I experience that life gives chances to everyone to complete their dreams. From childhood, I wanted to play football at the national level, but I missed it for 3-4 years. Every year there used to be something. There would be injury sometimes, the selection would be unfair some other times. But in 2019, I practiced so hard and I actually played at the national level. I think, wow, that's so cool. And definitely, I feel that doctors are pluripotent. The question is, I'm always afraid to live alone, and after a time interval, why do we have to go away from our friends and parents? Well, I don't know, maybe so that we learn to value them more. About living alone, I feel being afraid is okay. Living alone comes with its own share of challenges, but I also feel that you can really learn a lot about yourself and about life by living alone. So enjoy this whole process. Another experience, the best experience of my life is when my brother and I used to live together. So we were playing cricket and then something happened which led to a fight and he hit me and I got injured. After that, he got panicked and he hugged me and started crying and asking everyone for help. That's the day I realized that the unconditional love from your loved ones is the best medicine for every problem. So anytime you are facing any problem, just talk to or remember your loved ones. I think this is sweet. Okay, the question is how to survive away from your parents. Okay, I think there's a similar question which somebody else has asked, which says that when coming away from parents and living independently, how can we manage to focus on our curriculum as well as our daily routines and also stress related stuff? Well, I think when you're living alone, the one thing that you have to really keep in mind is about the food. If you don't have a good mess, then you have to order a good dabba. Learn basic cooking. Always buy fruits and salad stuff like, cucumbers, tomatoes, carrots, all of that. Because you really need all of that healthy stuff to do well in med school. Because if you're healthy yourself, then only you'll be able to study better. The other thing is you're not alone. There are other people also going through the same stuff. So never feel that you're alone. And when you start exploring stuff and everything, you'll actually start enjoying the process of living alone. So don't worry. Once me and my friend went to a shop to buy some snack, but we did not have change. Also, our GPay was not working. There was this middle-aged man standing beside us. He paid for our meal and also gave us some change for auto so that we could reach back home. We asked him how we could pay back and he told the only person to pay back is God and that we should help anyone in need. It could be a small help, just like listening to a person who needs to be listened to. It need not be big. Also, during my entrance exam, we were not allowed to take our writing planks, so I didn't know where to keep it. When an unknown lady helped me in this situation by keeping it safe with her and returned it to me after the exam. From these experiences, I've learned that God is always there to help you, and you should help people in any possible way you can. It may not be big things, but small things mean a lot to other people, and I think. I completely agree and believe this. Sometimes you want to do something big in life and you're really uncertain about कि कैसे होगा, मेरे पास कोई resources नहीं है, मैं कैसे करूँगा वो. But I just genuinely believe that God sends people to help you with stuff. So just start and you will find help. Don't worry. Another experience. Okay. Ma'am, I've learned that the path of success, people are solitary, meaning that we have to do everything on our own to get success in life. And also, I'm a repeater of NEET exams, so I have learned to neglect the unjust criticism which I have faced during my tough times. Yes, you have to ignore the unjust criticism and take what is of value to you. And also, I think, yes, success is a lonely process, but I also feel that, to be successful in any field, whatever success means to you, you need support of people around you. The question is, ma'am, I'm using 4 to 5 hours in traveling because I'm a day scholar. And will this affect my MBBS studies or else should I be a hostelite? Again, I think a similar question is there from somebody else also, that I'm very confused about renting a flat here or traveling every day. What is it that you suggest? Now, see, living in a hostel and living at home and traveling both have their own share of benefits and drawbacks. Like pros and cons are there in every situation. So if you think hostel, you will save up on the time of traveling, so you won't be fatigued. But there are so many other issues that you have to face with, like who is going to get your food, adjust with your seniors, then you have this laundry, roommates and distractions and everything. So you have to look after everything and you have to do that all by yourself. Also, if you have a roommate who's staying up late at night and you want to sleep, तो फिर then lights on है तो नींद नहीं आ रही है. So many other issues like that keep cropping up. So hostelites will have their own drawbacks. Whereas coming to home and traveling now, of course, traveling is exhausting. But the thing is, when you reach home, you will have your own place to study. You can sleep whenever you want and you will have food and laundry and everything sorted for you. So that are the advantages that you can have. Now, if there is an option for you and you can become like a half hostelite, be a hostelite for the weekdays and then on weekends go home. If you have an option like that, I think you can take use of that. Otherwise, when you are traveling, try and make use of the time, just relax or sleep, or, just record some of the answers and put on your earplugs and listen to them. But again, it depends on the crowd and the mode of traveling that you're using. If you're using local trains and they're crowded, then of course you can't do all of that. So the idea is you do what suits you the best. See that and do that for yourself. The experience is overthinking about situations and people often leads to you questioning your own self and causes zero gain. People who I considered to be my best friends ended up being strangers altogether. I have often found myself holding me responsible for their behavior and the subsequent loss of friendship. Now, when I look back, I realize how immature it was of me to blame my own self and think about people who did not deserve any attention in the first place. An empty mind, which leads to overthinking, is a devil's delight indeed. So yes, it's a good idea to keep yourself occupied with constructive stuff so that you can avoid overthinking about such stuff. The question is, how do you revise your whole syllabus in a short period of time during exam days? I think this is very, very important because you have to trust me on this. Even if you have read everything and you don't revise it just before the exams, you won't be able to write anything in the exam. So revision is very, very important. You have to start studying with a purpose, all right? So either you make notes or you highlight stuff. If you're highlighting stuff, don't highlight the entire book. The idea is that first time you're studying a topic, if it's taking you 1 hour, the next time you're studying it, it should take you half an hour. And the third time you're revising it, it should just take you 10 to 15 minutes. That's how you'll be able to revise the entire syllabus during the exams. For example, I used to make notes. So before my exams, I never used to even open the textbook and just refer the notes. So that is how you save up on your time and revise everything before the exams. This is one experience. One thing that I have come to realize over the years, that people are complex. You can never know anybody completely. Everyone has extremely varied experiences, thoughts, opinions, etc. And no two people can think completely alike. I agree, you cannot really know anyone completely, and for that matter, you can't even know yourself completely, let alone others. So a good idea is listen to everyone, but eventually make your own choices and do what feels right for you to live without regrets. I think this is something which I would also agree to. The question is, I know MBBS is for 5.5 long years, but for you, were they eternally long or did they pass in a blur? Well, I think I was so occupied that they never really felt that long, apart from like a period in the second year, because our second year was stretched for 1.5 years, so that felt pretty stretched and long. But apart from that, it just passed in like a flash. So no, it doesn't seem like 5.5 long years. Another experience, things that I've learned from my life. One is that learn to be grateful for the things you have because not everyone has them. Second, try to help even if it has nothing meant for you. The third is learn to avoid fake people and don't get into peer pressure and follow your own path. Well, these are some good learnings. Okay, the questions are, how to keep balance between social and professional life? I think I have answered this question in the previous videos. I'll link the video in the description below. Make sure you check that out. Is it really necessary to study hard and get distinction, or should we just get past? Well, I think, you should always aim for the stars. At least you will end up at the sky. So yes, please aim for the distinctions. Please aim for doing really well. And even if you don't, that's okay. It's fine. But don't keep your aims of just passing and all. I mean, it's better to aim for a distinction. When to know that we are being fatigued by studying and how to take a good break in life? Well, I think when your efficiency decreases, for example, you're sitting for hours but you haven't really covered anything, that's the time you should know that you're getting fatigued. Now, a good break should have to do with nothing with screens and all, because you're already, studying on your tabs and reading from a book. So a good break would be something as simple as going out and taking a walk in the nature. For example, you just do it for 5-10 minutes and it makes your mind really refreshed. Other things that you can do is have a healthy snack or do some chores around your house, like clean up your desk, do your laundry or something like that. So that really helps. Also do something physical, for example, running, exercise, or practice your hobby. So these are some good ways to take a break. This experience. if we have strong willpower, we can do anything. When I was born, I had a hole in my back. The doctor said they had to operate in less than 24 hours. Everyone was praying for me. I was operated the next day. I am fine because of everyone's strong will. I have so many experiences of having strong will till now. Well, I completely agree. Willpower is something which can actually make miracles happen. I still remember once there was this colonel who was actually an army doctor. He narrated this one story which I remember I would like to share. He told me that he was at a war situation and there was this soldier from the opposite army. He came severely injured, like he had so many gunshots, and the doctors there and he himself felt that he wouldn't survive, but they still gave him CPR and surprisingly he came back. But still the doctors were of the opinion that he is not going to survive. Maximum he'll survive for 24 hours. He took him in, and Sir told me that his will to live was so strong. Like it was so strong that they saw that soldier walk out of that camp. So that is what strong willpower can do. How to study or how to plan timetable for study, because syllabus is vast and I don't have any way to simplify it. So please tell me, it will be very helpful for us. So one thing is, you have to realize in my school that you cannot study the entire textbook. Alani question bank you have to buy and start concentrating on the most important stuff first and then move on to the other stuff. Also made a video on the books that you should read in first year. So watch that video because there are some beautiful books which really save you a lot of time and effort. Experience. Until my 10th exams finished, I was always quite introverted. I was really invested in academics and competing to stand first in everything. After my 10th boards, I realized that I had spent over 10 years in the school with the same group of people, but had barely managed to have an emotional impact on anybody as a friend. After my 10th exam, the results got announced and I had stood first in the district. But I realized that other than my parents, I didn't have people to share my happiness with. That was the moment I realized it's not the exam or the competition that matters the most. What matters is the experiences and connections with people. It is the memories, the silliest of them, that you will remember throughout. The last question for today. Okay, while in school, I was a topper. I used to take part in a lot of extracurriculars and sports too. But I have come to med school and I'm feeling so left out. Not even able to score that well, let alone other extracurricular activities, whereas people around me are doing so much more. They're scoring well and they're also taking part in extracurriculars. I just feel very left out. So first of all, realize that it is okay to feel this way. Med school, everyone is smart. You have to understand this. Also, the second thing that you have to understand is comparison is the thief of joy. So just focus on your personal growth. The only person you have to compare yourself is with your yesterday's version. So if you're doing better than yesterday, you're doing good. Don't worry. I'll tell you from my personal experience during first year, I had to travel so much. I joined late. I couldn't understand academies that much and there was so much going on. I remember I didn't even attend my freshers. I didn't know whether I was doing the right thing or not. I started slow and on working hard on the academic stuff and ended up doing just fine. And in the years later, I ended up exploring all the other stuff and doing all the extracurriculars. So don't worry, you will be fine. It just takes time. And stop comparing yourself to others. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to ask me any questions, you can add them in the comments. You can also write to me at lovefaithhopeandhealing@gmail.com. Also, thank you so much for watching and I will see you soon. Till then, take really good care of yourself. Love and peace.
Lights, camera, action.
And just concentrate on learning and making the most out of it. Let's talk about the experience. Okay, this one done. Yes. One thing, another question is, another experience comes from when you start studying, alright? You have to... Alright, that is so sweet. You have to learn this, alright?